Is anybody not vaccinated? Raise your hand. Okay, everybody's vaccinated. Let's vote. Should we wear these masks or not? All in favor of wearing them, say aye. All in favor of not wearing them, say aye. Aye. Oh, it's really not unanimous, is it?
How about you make up your own mind?
What?
That's democracy.
How about if you make up your own mind? Does that work? All right.
All right, there you go.
Now, watch the Facebook tomorrow.
Democracy at work.
Okay, and for all of you people who think that this was the wrong thing to do, Marvin told me to do it.
Thank you, Marvin.
Yes. Donations can be made at www.
All right. Welcome to the Lancaster City Council meeting. Promises to be an interesting meeting, can you tell? Let's, City Clerk, you want to call the roll?
Okay. City Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Members Doris,
Here.
Molly,
Present.
Mann,
Present.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Chris,
Present.
Mayor Chair Harris.
You've already forgotten my name. Wow.
We have a quorum.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Who's doing the invocation? Anybody? This is a disgrace. We don't have anybody to do the invocation? Pastor Darrell Doris, what are you doing?
I'm going to pray.
Huh?
I'm about to pray.
Good.
Father, we thank you right now. We thank you for another day of health and strength. We pray that you continue to heal the country, God. We pray that you watch over this great city. We pray that you give us wisdom and knowledge. We pray that you continue to unite us, God, protect our first responders. Give us as leaders, God, what we need to do to make this city continually be great. All these things we ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So do we have Miss Lancaster here? Would you like to come up and lead us in the pledge? Just go ahead and use that mic right there.
Alrighty, everybody right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a bunch of presentations tonight. Are you ready, Jason?
Yes, sir, we're ready.
So should I join you down
Well,
there?
the first one's going to be Paraclete, and they have a presentation to you.
Uh-oh. I always worry about those things.
You can invite Newt Gillette up.
Nugent?
Yep, and
Where's
his
Newt?
team.
Newt, where are you? Newt taught me how to play golf. And I've never broke 100, which gives you an idea of how well he did. Should I come down there? You want me down there? Newt, help me out. You want me down there? You want me to stay here?
We're going to bring it to you there. You can stand right there. Wait, Donovan. Wait. Many of you probably don't know, but a year ago in June, county said no basketball practice in a gym. Well, it's kind of hard to learn how to shoot a basketball if you can't shoot at a rim. So I bought 2 baskets. I set them up between a gym and a cafeteria, and we shot for a couple months. But then we couldn't run up and down the court because there was no court. So I talked to the people here at Lancaster City Hall, and they allowed us to practice at American Heroes Park. And I think we did that the fall, the winter, and the spring, 2 hours a day. And we're very grateful for that opportunity. And as always, our city council thinks about the people in this community. And so my 3 seniors have something to present, but Dylan has something to read first.
On behalf of my teammates, we would like to thank the city of Lancaster for allowing us to practice at American Heroes Park this past fall, winter, and spring, when COVID restrictions would not allow us to practice inside. We would also like to invite you as our guests to our first home game, Tuesday, November 16th. It will be honor the city of Lancaster night. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Can I bring the council?
And just so you know, I didn't break any county rules. I had drink that I was going to drink. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. So are you winning? No, I can't right now. Is that a problem? Okay, why don't we, I want to save Heather for last, so let's skip to number 3, and I'll come join you in a second, okay?
Mayor and council, thanks for the opportunity to be here. It is with reserved celebration that we are here as a group today in a different fashion than we have been at the fairgrounds. As you guys know, with the start of COVID, it was a challenge for all of us, not only dealing with what we had to deal with, but once the vaccinations came and you guys were integrally involved in every part of that, the emergency slowly transitioned into how do we deliver the mass amounts of vaccines that were necessary to deliver our community. Today we're here to celebrate the effort of those people who made that happen. And I say it's a reserved celebration is that we're not out of the woods. And I know you guys have known that as part of our conversations that the mayor's had and the council's had collectively. So there's still work to be done. But this is a transition out of phase 1, which was our mass vaccination, into the ground and pound effort of door-to-door, hand-to-hand combat and getting people vaccinated. I'm sure the people we're honoring today will be part of that effort as well. But today is a day to celebrate their efforts, and there's a long list of those folks. I want to start with our city staff. Although they're not all getting certificates, they get paychecks. As you know, they've had to transition their world in a number of cases where one day you'll be a land surveyor, the next day you'll be leading a vaccination site. One day you might be answering phones, the next day you're managing a volunteer crew who's working out at the vac site. So they've stepped up to the plate and done an unbelievably necessary job and successful. There's also a significant amount of community members who have participated in that, some of which are in the healthcare industry, some of which are not, some of which are just citizens who wanted to use their club, their organization to make that happen. So we're going to go through them one at a time, probably have them come up and get a picture real quick and get their certificate. But we'll go through them real quick just to give a narrative of their importance in the organization. High Desert Medical Group was one of the first to step forward, not only in vaccinating their own staff, but when they reached out, specifically the mayor reached out to share their vaccines, they said, yes, they were willing to, which was amazing for this community. And not only did they share their vaccines, they joined us at the fairgrounds to do 2 sites operationally. Kaiser Permanente, unmistakably the first one who was pushing very hard at their site. They soon got to a point as those mass vaccinations came out that they could not do it there. They reached out to us and said, we need your help. And because they had the goal of vaccinating everybody they possibly could. Their patients, community members, everybody, and their team stepped up in a big way. Children's Center for the Antelope Valley provided staffing and nursing and a number of different services. Antelope Valley College, of course, with some of their nursing students coming out there getting the necessary hours they had. Salva, reaching out to the Latino community, trying to get that Latinx community vaccinated and doing that on a door-to-door basis and reaching out to their constituency. The CERT team, that our brave CERT team who know in an emergency are going to respond. I don't think they've trained for this kind of an emergency, but when they were asked to come, they came and were there for us. Career Care Institute volunteered their entire nursing program. On the High Desert Medical side, they had Career Care Institute nurses out there getting their necessary hours, but also serving the public, which was huge for us. Antelope Valley Hospital, of course, sponsoring days, and they were initially obviously the front lines of the battle, doing an amazing job under their leadership with Ed and their board. The Antelope Valley Fairgrounds, providing 2 giant facilities that frankly, were underused, but their staffing, their electrical cords, their services, their food preparation. You go down the list of everything the AV Fair has provided was amazing as well. Interact Club at Lancaster High School, we had those students out here helping, whether it be parking cars or working on volunteers, whatever it was. And the impact of City of Lancaster, which is a lot of our volunteer staff and the students and our youth in the government program that helped out as well. But it's just an amazing effort of the community, and I'm sure I missed people, so I apologize for those people that are out there that I missed. But now is the time to celebrate you guys. So we're gonna bring everybody down, get a big round of applause for everybody, take a picture. We'll do it one group at a time. Obviously, we've got social distancing issues. But we'll get those teams together, take a picture, and get your certificate. We're all vaccinated. Okay. Well, we'll get individual pictures, and we'll get everybody down together. I don't know if you wanted to say a few words, Mayor, or not.
What do you say for what you've done? Remember, it's amazing. People are already forgetting just how bad it was. And you guys stepped up and you fixed it. You fixed the impossible is really what we saw happen. I still get choked up about it. I am so proud of this city and this community and the Antelope Valley. What you guys did was, nobody else did what you did. We had the most vulnerable population because of the health conditions, the age of the population. We were the most vulnerable, and yet we had one of the lowest death rates. And that was because of you guys. That was such a remarkable achievement. If we never accomplish another thing, I will feel like we served the community well because of what you did. Thank you.
And just real quick before we start announcing folks, just the stats. In 5 months, they did 63,000 vaccines at the site. So a huge effort and a great undertaking. So thank you, guys. So we'll start with we'll start with High Desert Medical Group. Come on down.
One for everybody or just for?
Just for the group, yeah. Annabelle, where's the best place to take a picture? Where do you want to? Right here?
Okay, so who do I give this to?
Let's go right here with the council in the back.
It started with you guys. Remember out in the parking lot?
Annabelle, come over here this way.
So who do I give this to?
Oh, right here, Adam. She was our coordinator at the site.
Thank you so much. All right, we've got a smile. All right, go this way.
1, 2, 3. And you move on. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that's remarkable too is with the number of people we had out there, competing agencies in some cases, competing interests, and amazingly, and competing leadership, they all worked so well together. And yeah, behind the scenes, you might have seen a little tussle and a hustle, but at the end of the day, they knew what we were there for, and it was just well done. The next one is Kaiser Permanente.
Do you guys realize if it wasn't for you, how many people here would be dead? We forget just how important what you did was. Thank you. Okay, who do I give this to? Nobody's willing to take that credit. Right here? Good. Thanks.
I'm over your shoulder. 1, 2, 3.
And we couldn't have this event without honoring all of you. So we wanted to give this to you, right? This is from our executive leadership team at Kaiser Permanente. And when we talk about partners, you came through every aspect. The countless number of people that were under your leadership that you dedicated to this. You talk about how many people we vaccinated. We couldn't have done it without you.
Really appreciate it. And also we
It was a
appreciate all the
great team, wasn't it? I mean, it
Yeah.
was a community.
community team.
It was a community team.
Fabulous.
Including all the other healthcare institutions in the community.
right.
Yeah. So we really appreciate that.
Wonderful. Good, oh,
Or two that our community came together, and we appreciate that.
okay. Thank you.
1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we have the Children's Center, the AV.
Make up your mind, leave it on. I couldn't help, it, sorry. Here you go.
Oh, sweet, thank you. Which way?
Let's go back. Back up a little bit. See how they just ordered me?
Right, that's what they do.
Too comfortable.
That's what they do. We just go when they tell us to go.
And 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, we appreciate
Thank you so much.
Antelope Valley College.
The college didn't show up. My alma mater. Oh my gosh.
As an alumnus, you'll accept it on their behalf.
That was quick.
Salva, or a group from Salva here.
What? You can do that. You want me to do that? Okay,
No shaming, no shaming,
no shaming.
no shaming. Me too.
Is there really a rule, no shaming now?
Not around here, obviously.
Allison, I need your help. We need a private
So
meeting.
Marvin wants us to vote on Daryl's man purse. Show us your purse, Daryl.
Can I get the millennials to help me out with this, please? So everyone, I went to a foreign country and my wife suggested that I get something that can keep all of my valuables in front of me so that I don't get stuck in a foreign country if it's borrowed from me without my permission. I've gotten used to it. Don't shame me.
And she bought him a camera purse. And he wears it all the time now. Okay, we got to vote. How many people think it's appropriate for our city councilman to carry a purse?
Ha! Get with the program.
Well, okay. Okay. I missed it along the way.
Daryl, I took a head count and 85% of those that voted for that were young ladies. FYI.
You got a point. You got a point. Okay, moving on. Daryl gets to keep his purse. So we have two queens that want to speak before we go on. Is that right? So have they had the Miss Antelope Valley playoffs yet, or whatever they call that? So, Miss Lancaster, you know, we're expecting you to win that.
I'll do it.
Hello and good evening. My name is Grace Kajabadi and I am Young Miss Lancaster. Being a community queen, especially for a big city like Lancaster, we serve many hours helping nonprofits like AVPH. Today, I would like to address the issue of tobacco waste in our community. On June 26th, we were invited to participate in a program called Let's Kick Butts this summer by Antelope Valley Partners for Health. Their main focus was to bring awareness to tobacco waste, eliminate them from our public parks, and bring awareness to the dangers of secondhand smoke. There are so many harmful ingredients in tobacco products, such as a chemical called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, which has many dangerous chemicals in it, and is also the main cause of why people can get lung cancer from smoking. Arsenic, which is in pesticides, and ammonia, which can be found in many household cleaning products, but the exposure can be dangerous to the skin, eyes, and lungs. These are just a few of the many harmful compounds found in cigarettes. Another proven fact is that over 38 million adults smoke a day, and many smoke multiple cigarettes. But back to the event. At the event, we were given supplies and split up into teams. Our objective was to clean the park by picking up as many cigarette butts as we could in 1 hour, and figure out which part of the park contained the most tobacco waste. Can you guess which part of the park had the most? Unfortunately, it was the children's playground. Having so much tobacco waste in parks can not only be bad for the environment, but it can be harmful to children and animals, mistaking them for wood chips and other objects. At the end of the event, just our team alone, consisting of 4 people, collected over 769 cigarette butts and paraphernalia in only 1 hour. Altogether, we collected over 4,000 cigarette butts. Cigarette butts can take over 10 years to completely decompose. Our main goal is to make more parks smoke-free. We can benefit in so many ways from having smoke-free parks, such as promoting current smokers to quit and live healthier lifestyles, less risk of fire hazard, less tobacco waste, and most importantly, cutting back exposure of secondhand smoke to children. This is very important to me because I think the Antelope Valley is a beautiful place, and I would like to keep it that way and help create a cleaner, healthier environment for kids to play. If we work together to clean up the parks and promote making them smoke-free, we are getting a chance to bond with our community and the people in it. Thank you.
All right. Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Vanessa Hall, and I'm extremely honored to be one of your City of Lancaster Community Queens as the current title holder of Miss Lancaster. Just over a month ago, exactly 1 month and a day ago, we were invited to attend an event on the 26th of June by the Antelope Valley Partners for Health, dubbed Let's Kick Butts this summer. And the intent of this day program was to engage community members, both young and seasoned, and bring awareness to the many dangers of secondhand tobacco and cigarette waste in the AV. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend this event myself, but my incredibly driven teen Miss Natanya Sapakai and my young Miss Grace Kosarbody were able to regale me with the astounding statistics surrounding cigarette waste in the AV. My girls in their volunteer group alone collected a total of 769 cigarette butts. But perhaps the most shocking piece of information was that these cigarette butts were abstracted from the children's playground. As the older sister of 6 amazing children, the topic of children being able to grow up in a safe and healthy environment is of no small consequence to me. I think I can speak for the Lancaster Court as a whole when I say that one of our initiatives is to eradicate teen smoking and vaping. Yet children are extremely influenced by the sight of old cigarette butts and other unmentionable waste from their perch on a swing or slide. I think as a community, as the City of Lancaster, we should endeavor to promote smoke-free spaces, especially such spaces where children should be exposed to such toxins. Secondhand smoke is definitely no joke, and neither is the cleanliness of our community or the safety of our children. Thank you again to AVPH for inviting us to attend that. It really opened a lot of our eyes, and thank you to the council for having us today. And one last thing, we did collect a total of approximately 5,000 cigarette butts from our parks. American Heroes Park. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm impressed. I mean, there's nothing glamorous about picking up cigarette butts. That's really cool. So what could we do to help you in your, I guess, goal?
So I think the first step to eliminating problems like this is.
I'm sorry, come back and. Okay. Marvin is old and deaf, so you got to talk louder.
Well, I think the first step to eradicating problems like this is by holding each other accountable. Most importantly, holding yourselves accountable. If you do something wrong, do your best to make it right. And I definitely think it's important to hold our politicians and our superiors accountable as well. We're, as a community, we need to work together. If there's a problem, I think we all need to work together to make sure that we find a common goal and see it through. Anything?
Way to put me on the spot like that, Vanessa. I think we can definitely all work together, and so much of tobacco waste is just a lot of kids and teens, and they're being under the influence that they have to do it, and they think that it's like the cool thing to do. But if we can just, if we could help influence them that it's unhealthy and there are just so many harmful side effects to stop.
Do we allow smoking in the parks?
I just asked Allison that. I don't know that we know that off the top of our head, but if we don't, maybe that's, yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's kind of shocking to see that many cigarette butts in our parks. I mean, it has to be in front of the kids.
My understanding is we have a draft ordinance in process that we can bring forward sooner than later, if that's.
Yeah. but
Okay,
the
so why don't
least-
you guys bring the ordinance forward once it's drafted, okay? So you can actually see where you accomplished a change. Fair enough? Good
I'm
idea?
sorry. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So I would think at the very least, at least the playground areas of the parks, specific to young children, based on what they just said. Gosh, that's crazy. Anyway.
Quitting
keep that in mind.
smoking was the hardest thing I ever did. Bar none. It was the hardest thing I ever did. And I can, but I don't know anybody who smokes now. I mean, it has to be subsiding.
I know vaping is a very major thing with young people, even so much as they're using it, looking like USBs and different other gadgets that young people use. So I'm not sure with the cigarette butts, but I would like to know if the ordinance does designate certain areas specifically to smoking so that it stays away from playgrounds and basketball courts and different things like
We'll
that.
definitely keep that in mind as we put together the ordinance.
Okay, good. Thank
Can we
you.
also address the issue of a place to dispose of the cigarette if they are smoking, someplace that they can do that?
Yeah, we can have maintenance work on that immediately.
You know what would solve this problem? We just have an ordinance, you put it out in your hand. No, just came to me. I couldn't stop myself. No? Okay. Thank you. All right, where are we? Number 4, COVID recap. What? This one. Oh, okay, COVID small business relief. What's that?
We have a presentation by Sydney Aceta in our Economic Development Department.
Good evening, Mayor Paris and City Council. I am Sydney Aceta. I'm the Assistant Manager in Economic Development, and I'm here to talk to you about 3 programs that we put together and implemented through the height of the pandemic. But I want to be clear that this is just an overview of 3 programs and is not comprehensive of what we were able to do over the last 16 months. This would work. Yeah, that's on. Okay. So the first program I want to talk about is our loan program. And what was really cool about that was how quick we were able to implement it. We activated our EOC on March 16th, which was a Monday. That following Tuesday, City Council approved the program and we were able to implement it. And our first application came in the following day. So within 9 days of us kind of acknowledging and activating our EOC, we were able to implement this program and start getting money to businesses. So it looked like we got 82 applications submitted. 37 of them were approved. Those went to businesses like hair salons, nail salons, entertainment venues, those that were shuttered in that first phase of the pandemic. And that equaled about $678,000 to businesses in the form of loans. The loans range in size from $6,000 up to $40,000, with the average being about $15,000 to $20,000, and the payback time for that is between 1 and 5 years. The next program is our Stand Strong Reopening Assistance Program. With this, we were able to provide hard-to-find PPE to the businesses so that they could reopen in accordance with those guidelines set forth by the state and the county. During that time, we were able to help 125 businesses. Now, keep in mind, a lot of those businesses receive duplicate PPE supplies. So even though it's 125, we were helping those businesses throughout the year. And as you can see, hundreds of thousands of gloves, tens of thousands of face masks, all the way to 1,280 containers of disinfectant. We spent about $99,725 on this traditional type of PPE. And then the other part of that was kind of the more non-traditional PPE, where we were able to give businesses things that they needed to reopen. So patio heaters, we were able to give businesses 115 patio heaters, and we were able to provide patio furniture for 12 businesses. That equaled about $154,000 to round out that program at $254,000 that we gave back to businesses. And last but certainly not least is our award-winning restaurant rescue program, which was a first in the state. We were kind of a leader. I know George had mentioned that he went to a conference and talked about this program, and then some other cities implemented it after we did. But that was our program that we implemented when LA County once again shuttered the businesses back in November. We hosted a town hall meeting. I know mayor and vice mayor were there talking to the businesses, got their input, asked what they could do to help. And that's when we created our restaurant rescue program, which encompassed grants, LCE bill credits, and the takeout and chill cards that everyone knows and loves. So with that program, we had 66 locally owned restaurants, wineries, and breweries participate. Of those, 56 were provided California Restaurant Association memberships. The California Restaurant Association was the spearhead of the legal battle between the county and the state. So we were able to sponsor one-year memberships for 56 of those restaurants who were not previously members. And here's some of the businesses that had participated. Down to the numbers, we were able to offer $72,000 in grants, and that was based on pre-COVID employment numbers. So the grants ranged in size from $500 to $1,500. We got $432,820 worth of takeout and chill cards, which is equivalent to $21,641 turned back in. But it's likely that this actually was double that. We did a survey with the restaurants, and most of them said that people spent much more than $20, typically at least $20 more, if not more. So it's likely that that number is actually closer to $865,000 or more. We provided $12,000 worth of meals to Kaiser. So as you guys know, we started passing out the cards and distributing them to our frontline workers, our essential workers, medical personnel. And Kaiser wasn't able to accept them because their corporate office wouldn't allow it. So what we did was we took some of the funding from this program, and we were able to supply 1,040 employees with meals out of this program. That equaled about $12,000, almost $13,000. And then lastly was the LCE credits, which businesses that were participating got 2 bill cycles worth of credits, which equaled almost $31,000. We also, the really cool thing about this program, I think that kind of gets overlooked, is the fact that we created community participation by distributing these cards out into the community, and those at the vaccination site, those that came to the community events, and then also our frontline workers. who never stopped working as a thank you. And I think that that's really cool that we were able to allow them to give back to their community as well. And then shout out to our comms team who also pushed a great comms strategy out that pushed people to support local business, whether they had to take out a chill card or not. So some of the feedback that we got was very positive from the businesses. As you can see, that was some of the feedback we got from a survey that we sent out. And then 2 businesses, Coaches and AM Cafe, actually wrote letters to the editor thanking the city for all of their support through these various programs and how all of these programs and more helped keep these businesses in business throughout this pandemic and really helped them survive. And then Bubba Coos had that billboard up on 20th West and Avenue J, right across from their restaurant. And so I just want to leave on this note that we pride ourselves on being LAEDC's first and only 3-time most business-friendly city award winner. And it's one thing to expedite permits and to approve things and to kind of remove that red tape, which is something that we all pride ourselves on. But I think when you look at all of the things that we were able to do for this community, especially our businesses during this time, under the leadership and direction of the city council, I think it just goes to show how much we truly do embody that most business-friendly city title and how much we really do appreciate what our business and our community does for us. Thank you. Any questions?
I do. You didn't talk about the incentive we did with the car dealers.
Yes, so that I know we had briefed on that a couple of council meetings ago, back when it first finished, but that was also another very successful program where we were able to get millions of dollars back into the economy.
I'd be interested in knowing how many businesses did not reopen after COVID. I'd like to have a breakdown of how many we saved, how many we failed to save. The lessons aren't over, but within the next year, I'm hoping we have a package so that if this happens again, we know exactly what to do. We do this,
Absolutely.
this, and so we don't have a debate about it either. We will have a plan in place and we just execute the plan. Okay.
Absolutely, we can definitely
guys-
work on that.
You guys did a fabulous job because what I'm seeing is most everybody reopened.
That's what we're seeing as well.
Yeah.
Rex, can I also ask a question? Because I noticed we had almost 90 businesses.
I'm sorry, we don't let people with purses, men with purses ask questions.
I noticed we had.
At least they're not calling you Chuggy. That's when it gets bad.
Okay.
What was that? How you spell it?
Don't.
CH.
No. So I'm curious also about the businesses that were not awarded. I'm curious to know whether it was it technical issues? Was it that they just didn't qualify for certain reasons so that we could maybe help smaller businesses also? Because it seemed like almost 2/3 didn't qualify for our grants. So I'm just curious about that also.
It was mostly that they were ineligible based on the criteria set forth in the loan program that we had, all of the criteria that we had put forth. Some of them were home-based or weren't in business long enough, those types of things.
Okay.
Question for George. George, it's my understanding that we were ranked #1 by the consultants in that as far as recovery with sales tax.
Yeah, so if you go back to the year prior to the pandemic and our estimates for where we thought, or actually what the consultants thought statewide, where sales tax was going to go as a result of the pandemic, we had slashed our revenues as a result of that. We ended up outperforming. Not only did we outperform the discounts that they wanted us to apply, we actually outperformed what we did the prior year.
Thank you.
You guys are all stars. Really are.
We couldn't do it without you guys.
We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good presentation. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. So everybody who wants to get out of here can get out of here, and everybody who wants to stay can stay.
And for the record, it's called a bro sack.
It's called what?
It's called a bro sack.
It's called what?
A bro sack. That's what it's
A
called.
bro sack. That's worse than a purse.
No, it's not.
back up. Okay, resume. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Mayor, we have one more presentation.
Oh, we got another presentation? What do you got?
It's Jen with our communications team. You asked for a presentation last week.
Oh,
They are
okay.
prepared to do the presentations on their communications efforts.
All right, good. Hey, I hear this is going to be like really good. Is that true?
No. First of all, I'd like to thank you for clearing the room. Now I'm ready. Yeah. I mean, you can stand next to me the whole time if you want to, but it's up to you. Mayor, City Council, it is my honor to be here this evening to give you an update on our communications efforts over the past year. Yes, sir. Oh, geez. It was moving. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction to the team. The majority of the current communications team has been here a year or less, and not all of them are as privileged as I am to get a lot of face time with you guys. So I just wanted to introduce them via photos and video. And then we'll go through what we've done the past year, sort of our big projects and milestones that we've hit. I'll give you a little bit of an insight into our analytics platforms and how we track and some of the data that we have from the past year to this year. Give you an update on the projects that we have going on today, and then Annabelle will jump up and give you a little bit of information on our LTV relaunch. So before I play this video, I would like to preface it with one of the efforts that we're doing is broadening our audience. So we are now active on TikTok and Instagram Reels. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that this video is specifically for TikTok, but it is a good introduction to the team. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots. I've got no roots. But my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots. I've got no roots. So that is your communications team. And this is just a snapshot, just to see us all. And then I want to do a shout out for Alexis, our assistant to the city manager. A lot of the projects that she works for the city manager require communication support. So we get to collaborate with her and her assistant Tamara quite often. And it actually works really well in our favor. So what have we done this past year? One of the first things that I did when we came on, and I want to give credit to Jason and Alexis because they laid a lot of the groundwork for this project, was rebranding the city. I think it was clear for everybody, unlike the statement in the logo, that this no longer represented the community, and we wanted the community to be proud of their logo and tagline and of what their city is doing for them, and we wanted a logo and tagline that would represent them. And so we took a look at the city, the events that we enjoy, the scenery that we enjoy. And at the request of the mayor and city council, we did go out to the community to get their thoughts and input. This was one of 4 logos that we put out in a survey. We had approximately 3,500 respondents, and of those respondents, 75% chose this poppy logo. And then here's our tagline to go with it, creating a better tomorrow together. I think the best thing about this tagline is in 10 years, if we're all gone, it's still something that people can connect with, because you always want to be looking to the future. We have a very progressive city council. They're always looking to the future for our community. And so this is a long-lasting tagline. So with this, we wanted to make sure that we rebranded the things that were out in the community so that they could see this new branding. So we updated our website, just gave it a bit of a facelift. And we updated our quarterly magazine, The Outlook. And then I'm just going to show you a couple slides of how we measure success for the information that we're putting out. So this is a platform called Zen City. It's how we track our analytics on a regular basis. So what this does is it leverages our channels that are already out there on social media and any media mentions of the city or our council on the internet. And it gives us updates in real time so that we can see what the discourse is and whether it's positive or negative. We send reports to leadership, and then that funnels down whether we need to change our approach on something or whether we need to push something harder. I also wanted to show you just where we were over a year ago to where we are today. So pulling our social media interactions from August 2019 to August 2020, we had about 750,000 interactions on social media. August 2020 to today, we've had 2.5 million interactions on social media. And so just a quick little snapshot of Facebook. We may not have the highest followers of the pages within our Antelope Valley area, but we have the highest interactions and engagements from our community by far. And in the past year, from 2020 to 2021, our followers on social media has increased significantly. A lot of that is due to our social media maven, Natalie Torres. She puts out about 7 to 10 posts a day. And she's the one that's also responding to comments in real time. All right, so what are the big projects we're working on now? We are continuing to work on centralizing all of our communications efforts. You know, with communications, we pretty much support anything that's going to go out externally, media events, press events, news interviews, recently the broadcast with Japan. And so in addition to all of those external communications and social media, by centralizing everything, we can make sure that there's a unified brand strategy and that we're using the right messaging in everything that we put out. So when people see it, they know that it ties back to the city of Lancaster. And then as our brand awareness grows, we want to make sure that our sub-brands are also growing and mimicking the new look and feel of the city of Lancaster and that they're not staying behind. So one of the things that we're working on right now is rebranding all of those other efforts. Another project that we're starting is city wayfinding and signage. We want to come up with a very good strategic plan for having directional signage and a master plan for all of that signage. And what we want to do is be able to encourage people to visit local attractions and local services, whether they're visiting or the community. We can help drive the traffic where we think it would be best for them to go. And it also gives the community a sense of pride when they look around and they see these beautiful visuals. You know, the city cares about the space, they care about them. And now I will hand it over to Annabelle to give you a quick update on L28.
Thank you, Jen. Good evening, council. Good evening, mayor. My name is Annabelle. I am the I am the senior specialist, and we're talking about social. I'm the senior specialist in charge of video. And so a big part of my job since I started working for the city in January has been LTV. And as you've seen, we're doing a huge relaunch refreshing project for all of the branding of the city. LTV was a part of that. But in that process, we also needed to reassess the programming that we have now. I think we're all aware it's outdated due to circumstances. You know, the past 2 years have not been easy and it's made production really difficult. But we've also taken this as an opportunity to look forward to the future, and we've reassessed the way that people are consuming media, they're consuming information now. And as a public access channel, we are competing with a lot of other sources that have way more resources than we do. But as an extension of City Hall, LTV is a great platform to create this open channel of communication, direct communication with our residents, because when you don't have that, you leave room for misinformation to come in and take the reins, and we don't want that. But we are competing with sources that have so much more resources to put out bad information. So we reassessed that, and we came up with visuals and branding that sort of matches the direction that we're going and targeting, like Jen said, newer audiences, younger audiences. And actually, one of my favorite quotes from Commissioner Cannon was meeting the people where they're at. And so I just heard that from you recently. I'm sorry I stole that. But I think it's a wonderful quote, and it's definitely looking forward to the future. So LTV, we rebranded as L28. I think it's sort of a fresher take, and it sort of moves us in the direction that people are consuming media and information now. And I'm saying a lot about media and information because one of our focal points for this new relaunch is going to be, our initial relaunch is going to focus on the news. We're planning to have 2 news hours. That's going to be one in the morning, one in the evening, so that you can get the information no matter what time you're tuning in, whenever you're free. And that's going to be refreshed twice a week. So once at the beginning and once at the end of the week. So we have a cycle of constantly updated news. And we're also working on a sort of a strike team for breaking news. If there's anything that's happening that's urgent that needs to get out to the residents, we have that team on standby and ready. So in addition to this, as a part of the open communication and being an extension of City Hall, we're currently broadcasting council meeting and commission meetings. What we're hoping to do next is streaming the AVTA board meetings and the AVA QMD board meetings as well. We're working with those locations specifically and their team in order to work that out, with IT and all of that stuff. So that's coming next. So that's the news portion, is a strong focus of what we're doing right now. But in between that, we do also want to have entertaining programming because, we want people to keep coming back, and we want to sort of target programming that is meant for the community and by the community, because I think that's what is going to keep people coming back to watch, which is great for us because we want to use programming as a source of revenue for sponsorships and partnerships. And eventually my goal is to use that revenue to make the channel itself self-sustaining. So we are going to use the money from sponsorship and partnerships to expand on our programming slate and maybe plan further out into the future, as opposed to just thinking, quarterly or yearly or things like that. But all this said, the bottom line is I want the programming to be for the community, and I want it to contribute to the health of the community in 3 ways, 3 pillars, which are mental, physical, and financial health. So all of the programming will tackle either one or all of those pillars. And we really do hope to turn L28 into a media hub where people can, get together and watch something entertaining, get something valuable, get some information out of it. Things like council meeting recaps. We are going to have, we already have some capital improvement project updates on there as well. So that's the goal that we're heading towards. I have more slides, I'm sorry. But so this is me at one of our press events. I don't think we're going to be short for content. We're not going to run out of things to cover, because in the months that I've been here, I've had the privilege to attend a lot of those for a variety of events and happenings. So this is a press event for the initial press event for the illegal growth. So I was there for that. And so these are just sort of like a very small sample of the other events that I've been to. So I think you look very dignified. It was me. I take full responsibility for that. That was me. But this is the hydrogen event that we were at. So that's one of we can recap that in our news hours. That lower left one is Trelease winning our potato race for the city. I
was the driver. We won.
No. So, but that was a really fun event, and I think that would be great TV, for people who were unable to attend or just to relive some fun moments. And on the bottom left, on the bottom right is, one of the press event that I was at. But that would be more of a breaking news segment that we can do immediately. And I believe since I've been here, like I said, I've been to a lot of different events, and it's all been great. And I would just like to show you a video that quickly recaps all of my experiences from sort of my point of view. And I hope you enjoy it. If it will play. Parks. So as you can see, just a quick shout out to the Parks Department. As you can see from that video, there was so many events that we worked with them on, and they provided such a wide breadth of things that we can cover. So I'm telling you, there's no shortage of media opportunities.
And then in closing, we would just like to talk about collaboration and working toward goals together. This slide showed up today in our slide deck, and it's just a team supporting a team. And I think that's the great thing about working here at City Hall is our council and our leadership are good with us taking risks and figuring out what works best. And us in City Hall, we're working toward the same goals together, supporting our community.
I'd just like to point out that was Alexis, right? She's sitting right there. So just to point that out.
Questions?
I have a question. So L28 is cable based, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the barrier to try to get the dishes, the DirecTV, the streaming? Because I believe some of the younger people are more into the streaming services, and I would hate to leave them out. And I noticed like my mother still has cable. I have DirecTV. So, you know, for Marvin's generation, they'll be able to see this. For Sean Cannon's generation, I'm a little nervous about that.
So as my favorite HR manager likes to say, it's best to crawl before we walk.
Okay.
So what we want to do is feed out content in smaller chunks just to figure out what works, test out the audience. Streaming is definitely one of the things that we want to check into. It's actually the reason why we renamed it in this rebrand L28 instead of LTV, so that we're not tied to television.
Okay, tell me the structure of this. What department are you under?
Communications falls under Jason in the city manager's office.
I'm gonna say louder.
Oh, communications falls under Jason in the city manager's office.
Okay. What about LTV?
LTV falls under communications. So Annabelle works with me.
So you're self-contained.
Correct.
Okay, good, good. I think that this is one of the things that is absolutely essential. And I want to make certain you understand how important it is to us. Because what has occurred is newspapers are dying. You know, it used to be everybody got the Valley Press. They had 50 reporters. It was, you know, it was vibrant. And, you know, now they're having to make do with 1/10 the staff. And so the news really isn't getting out. I also don't think that there's sufficient avenues where differing opinions can be expressed, you know, like I'd like to see debates happening. I mean, rather than people, you know, saying really bad words about me on Facebook, I'd rather that we had the debate, you know. I mean, there are different views, you know, and as those things develop, I'd like to see the structure in place, you know. And you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, set up for some positive discourse.
Yes, because I think what's really occurring, I mean, I just find it very odd that people that for the most part are decent people can be so, yeah. And then it brings that out of me.
Social media definitely brings out the worst in people.
Yeah, right. And if we had an avenue where those issues could be debated, people could, you know, I don't need to say anymore, do I? You get what I want.
Yes.
And I also want to see the accomplishments of our young people have an avenue to be celebrated. You know, I mean, I remember my son Rutger was a volleyball player. He'd get up at 6 a.m, rush out, get the paper to read an assist by Rutger Paris. just
Clip
that
it
one
out.
sentence, you know, it was a big deal.
Got that from his dad.
He probably did. I remember one time, you know, he was like 12, 13, and I'm doing something with him, and he goes, "Dad, I just want to be a regular kid." You know? So there's some truth to that. Anyway, I want to see that vibrancy return, you know, and I'm handing it to you to make that happen. Anything you need from us, let us know. but this is a priority. It's not a sideline anymore. I think we need to have that real news that's local in order to stop this imbalance. I mean, I don't want to see this city become this nation. I mean, it's hard to say that, but that's really what's happening. I don't want to see a polarized city. I want to see one that just can debate issues, argue about issues without calling each other names.
Right.
But I
Or
think when you
threatening.
don't allow them to debate at all, that frustration will build. Right?
Yep.
Okay. I think you're doing a wonderful job. I'm so glad you're with us.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, Lynn. Wait a minute, you gotta turn on your mic and talk loud because you're wearing that thing on your face.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say, Jen and all your people have been fabulous during COVID as multiple channels of communication. We've done some Facebook Live events. We hope to do more. We're talking with the social equity commissioners about putting together some things going forward on vaccination and really getting a discussion out there about what people are talking about privately. And but we've done videos and we've done other things to try and really perk people's interest in masking, in testing, in vaccination and prevention. And so thank you for
Yes.
what you've done.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Now we move on the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. ED1, COVID-19 pandemic updates and actions. Dr. Trong and Larry Stocks. Okay. Oh, well, Dr. Stocks.
And Tiffany.
And Tiffany.
So we'll see, press forward. Sorry. Can you just forward it for me, please? Oh, thanks. So those were great celebrations. I'm glad to see it all. But the numbers are worrying us a little bit, at least on the clinical side. We'll start with the first slide. This is what's happening in the world. The graph on the left tells us that the past 7 days average, there's a uptick. And right now we have about 1.9 million cases in the world and about 4.1 million deaths due to COVID year to date. The map on the right tells us where the hotspots are, average daily cases per 100,000 in the past week. And as you can see, the United States is now turning orange. If you recall, in the past 2 or 3 slides, we were in a yellow or light yellow. So now our numbers are increasing. A lot of this is, pretty much all of this is due to the Delta variant. Next slide, please. Going to the United States, we are reflecting what's happening in the world. We are seeing an uptick also towards the end there of that graph. That's another 7-day average. Our total cases year to date is over 34 million, with over 600,000 deaths due to COVID year to date. The map on the right tells us where the hotspots are. Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, states that are not very well vaccinated, states that have low vaccination rates. The CDC quotes that 97% of the cases that are occurring right now are in patients who have not been vaccinated. So it's something that we can really fix. Next slide, please. This is California. Again, California, the graph on the left also mimics what's happening in this country and the world. There's an uptick towards the end of that graph. And it's a worrisome uptick. We are seeing it locally. Dr. Stock and I are seeing more patients. Our floors are filling up. We're opening a second floor to accommodate patients, and we're seeing a worrisome trend. We're not seeing the ICU cases yet, only a few, but it's it's worrying us because it's reminds us of what happened previously. The blue boxes there tells us which counties are seeing a lot of the uptick, and LA County, Riverside County are on the seeing a lot of patients, more patients, and San Diego and Orange County less so. The map on the right, again, the darker the orange color or red color tells us where the cases are. Next slide, please. Going to LA County in particular, there you see the uptick is pretty substantial, more granular. As you can see, test positivity rate for LA County has increased, hospitalizations have increased. That's still lagging, but if you recall, it lags about 3 to 4 weeks. If you see an increase in cases, the deaths usually follow thereafter. The graph on the right is from the LA County dashboard. 2,600 cases over the weekend, 1.28 million cases year to date. And the blue line, I know you really can't see well, but it basically reflects the increase in positivity test. Next slide, please. Go ahead. No, the graph on the left is LA County. So where are the predictions? These are the predictions from the CDC and the 29 organizations that the CDC follows and helps track. And basically everyone's predicting an upsurge going forward. And this goes to August the 15th. Looking at LA County in California in particular, it's a sharper curve. It's actually going moderately high. So we are expecting an increase and we're already seeing it on the ground. Next slide. So who's doing this? It's Delta. Delta is the orange box. And as you can see, if you go back a couple months, say April, it was just a small, maybe 10%. And as you go forward month to month to month, it begins to expand in terms of its predominance. And now it is the predominant strain. It's about 80% of all the viruses that we isolate at this point. And it's more infectious, more contagious. Patients with this virus get sick earlier, usually 3 days rather than the 5 or 7 day incubation. And they have more viruses. They spew out more viruses, so it's more. They're able to infect people more. So it's figured us out. It's figured out our immunity for the most part. Next slide. Just some news releases, basically just some numbers. 80% of the viruses that we sequence is the Delta virus variant. And with unvaccinated individuals, 90% of them are currently hospitalized. Dr. Stock and I get involved in complicated cases, and 100% for me, all the cases that I get asked to see that are COVID, 100% of them did not get the vaccine. Next slide. So going to the vaccine, there's about 3.8 billion doses given out in the world. So for about 50 out of every 100 people. The map there shows which countries are getting it. And the United States actually getting a moderate amount compared to the rest of the world. And but we still about 49, 50% fully vaccinated. We're not reaching that 70, 80% herd immunity yet. We have ways to go. Next slide. So there, that graph on the left really speaks a lot. You know, in April, we were giving out 3 million doses a day. And since April, it's just been trending down. Maybe there's a bleep up here or two, but for the most part, we're now at about 500,000 doses per day. And the interest is waning as Delta is climbing. And the graph on the right tells us that at this current pace, we probably won't reach the 70% until December 17th. That's the prediction. And to reach 80%, it'll be May of next year. Hopefully, if we get early approval for the under 12-year-old, we may reach earlier because now the children are still not vaccinated. Next slide. Going to the LA County vaccine dashboard, right now, 70% age 16 with at least one dose, and 62% are fully vaccinated. So we're very close to that number, but we're still seeing a lot of cases on the ground. This is a really remarkable number on the right there. 88% of the seniors over 65 had at least one dose, and 78% are fully vaccinated. So at least that population, we feel comfortable that they're protected. Next slide. This is the vaccination map. Basically, the darker the green, the more vaccinated you are. And as you can see, the map, the graph on the upper right, basically that's the daily doses given out. And as you can see, it's really no loss of interest completely. Nobody wants to get the vaccines anymore. Interest is very low. Next slide. You've seen this before. It's updated week to week. And this is the distribution of ethnic groups that are getting the vaccine. And the lowest group remains Black African American on the graph there, a little bit over 40%. The next group is the Latinx, close to 50%. And the blue and then the red is white, and the, I think it's purple is the Asian group, close to, very close to 80%. So we have work to do. We really have to push the vaccines to the group that really needs, that can use it. Next slide. I don't know if you can see the numbers from this afar, but still year to date, our Lancaster fully vaccinated population is at 50, then I can't see, 50-ish%. And then Palmdale is at 58%. So we're not at the 62 county-wide, but, and so we have room to grow. Fortunately, the plus 65, we're doing really well in the 85th percentile range. So that group is moderately well protected. Next slide. That's all we have.
So I'd add a couple of insights. That was excellent, Jonathan. As an experiment for those that are younger than 65, we're not seeing hardly anybody, like 0 patients coming in who are vaccinated over the age of 65 because they're all protected. So if everyone younger than 65 was protected, we probably wouldn't be seeing you either. So those are coming in are people that are unvaccinated. Those are the only people that get hospitalized right now and putting themselves at risk for dying. And they're putting people around them at risk as well. The public health director is blaming the virus. I heard in a quote today, it's Delta's fault. It's not Delta's fault, it's our fault, because the virus is doing its job. It's trying to survive and get fitter as time goes on. It's reproducing very quickly. It's not 20 years between a generation. It's very fast. And it's adapting. And we need to adapt as well. And we have methods to do this. We can get vaccinated. It works. It really works. We can mask properly, and we can follow the masking guidelines. We can spend more time outdoors, and we can avoid crowds. And these are the things we're going to have to go back to, and we're going to keep going around in cycles until we collectively get together and decide we're going to be done with this thing. But we can't magically make it done. So as a community, we can do better. We can do better than Palmdale, and we can do better than LA County, but people are going to need to come in. So we got together, Tiffany and Jonathan and Maria and myself got together with Sean and Giovanni and with Patty come on up, guys. And if you guys want you to tell what we talked about and what our plans are. Okay. All right.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So we know that this is a crisis unlike any other that we have faced in our country's history. And so in order for us to do that, in order for us to combat this, we need to rise to that moment. And so we have been having meetings with our deputy mayors and our public health officials out in the Antelope Valley to try to discuss a possible solution to making sure that people from all backgrounds, including backgrounds of people that are minorities and also people that are younger, are making sure that they're getting vaccinated. And so one of the ideas that we discussed was a town hall event to basically create sort of that discourse that you were talking about, because there are some people that are hesitant to get vaccinated that wouldn't necessarily be considered like anti-vaxxers or whatnot. They're just people that are concerned about the FDA status of the vaccines and whatnot. And I have to say that regarding this country's medical history, that is a legitimate concern for a lot of minority populations. So we wanted to create a town hall where people could come together and ask questions of our public health officials so that they can get the real truth and the real insights about how effective these vaccinations are. And then in regards to some of the other community voices, making sure that we are overpowering some of those voices because these are true, proven facts. These are the people that are working tirelessly to make sure that we are getting out of this ahead. So coming up with ideas such as that, and also facilitating dialogue on social media, which was kind of alluded to earlier by the communications team, making sure that if possible, we can do Instagram or Facebook Lives if it coincides with the city's social media policy, to be sure that we're involving members of the community in this sort of discussion, because it is an important discussion. And if people don't feel as though they have a seat at the table, they are not going to want to engage in our community health. And that's something that we are seeing that is increasingly important. Additionally, we have to vary the voices that are speaking about these things, because if it's just seen as people that are city officials or city insiders that are talking about these things, if someone is skeptical, then that is going to affirm their bias, or that's going to confirm their bias. And so we need to make sure that we are diversifying those voices and making sure that everyone is heard, while also drilling into everybody's mind and understanding that this is something that is safe, this is something that is effective, and this is the only way that our community is going to get out of this, with all due respect, alive. Commissioner Cannon.
Yeah, and to Gio's point again, it really is just combating misinformation. And a lot of this misinformation comes from online. And for me, my doctor talks to me about it. My mom talks to me about it. You guys have talked to me about it. But for me, as a young person, not just as a city commissioner, but as a young person who has the same concerns as a lot of my peers do, it was our deputy mayors that convinced me. It was these briefings, these EDs on the agendas that convinced me. And it does make sense. And I do believe that if we can just put our deputy mayors out in front of folks and say, all right, who are you going to believe, Dr. Trong or Facebook? And it gets pretty easy, right? And I think when we, especially when it comes to the history, that especially when we're talking among African-American individuals and our citizens, the history with vaccines, and a lot of that has to do with a lot of people's decisions, not just young folks, but on a massive age spectrum. And I think that when we acknowledge that and also understand that, yeah, okay, we understand your concern, but again, the facts are X, Y, and Z, not LMNOP, like Facebook would tell you. But Mayor Parrish, you said something in the last city council meeting that is correct. And we've talked about it with our deputy mayors. It has been politicized. This virus has been politicized, and it's kind of make young people forget that we had to take our vaccinations to go to school. We had to take the Tdap. We had to take all these things. It makes people forget, and it makes their parents forget that they had to get vaccinated to go to school. So I think the more that we remind people that this isn't a political thing, and when I say political, I don't mean Republican, Democrat. I'll put it like this. It is why I make what I mean by it's been made political is that politicians on all levels of policy have made the corona, in all sides, have made the coronavirus about them. And so not so much about, public health and public safety, or this makes me look bad, or this makes me look bad as a whatever position that I'm holding. And it's the same reason why we're talking about this demographic. We're talking about a percentage of Black people, a percentage of Latino people, and an overwhelming percentage of young people. It's the same reason why they don't vote. It's not the fact that it's a Republican or Democrat issue. It's just that people don't trust government. People don't trust government, especially young people. They don't trust anything that has to do with politics. That's why they don't vote. So I think the more that we put our professionals out there and get FaceTime with them, and so they can kind of compel one of those concerns and meet people where they are, like we also talked about going to the events, going to when we have those food trucks go in there, let's set up there, let's talk to people. So we're not just saying get vaccinated or I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, right? You don't get vaccinated, I'm ready to pull the lever, break the glass, whatever. But it's more like, okay, you have a concern, we have the professionals that can talk to you on that level. So yeah, it's really just trying to get the politics out of it, listen to the science. And it's gonna take, it's gonna be an uphill battle, especially when you're talking about the social media, but it's worth it. And I think it's this era of misinformation, for me, it kind of seems like cyber warfare a little bit, because when we're talking about people that are being influenced by whatever it is, troll farms, whatever it is online to do something that's in contrary to public health, that's where it starts to get into public safety. So I think, and it starts with when we talk about young people, we're on the front lines of misinformation on Twitter and on Facebook and Instagram. So instead of just looking at things for likes and looking at things for retweets or whatever the case may, or for shares, whatever the case may be, I think kind of encouraging and not maybe unofficially deputizing our youth in Lancaster. If you see something on there, say something, be like, hey, that's not, that doesn't really seem right. And especially when you can get it straight from the horse's mouth, it's easier to, instead of going to doing your own little research, because not every person knows how to do research, but it's easier to pull up a city council meeting and say, you know what, I heard this straight from our professionals. So yeah, I'm very excited about where we're gonna go and working with our deputy mayors, because again, if they can convince me, they can convince other people. And it's not them, it's the science.
Thank you, Sean.
These two young guys are so articulate, so it's so much better than it's a better explanation than Walensky and Fauci. I have to say that, a couple of reasons. These guys articulate a number of reasons why young people may want to get vaccinated. If you want to go to a UC school, if you want to go to a Cal State school, a number of things you're going to need to get vaccinated to go. There's going to be other access things you want to do. I'll give you a reason to something you want to avoid, which is long COVID. Now, you may not get hospitalized if you're very young, although we are seeing some younger people now, or people in Missouri are in their 30s and 40s. You may not consider that young, but some people do. But even if you're, a teenager or you're in your 20s, getting long COVID is no fun. 10 to 30% of people who get COVID, even a mild case, may end up with chronic symptoms. And we're discovering now some of these people are having problems with fatigue and with feeling a lack of energy, but also even more debilitating symptoms that affect the brain, the heart, the lungs, especially, and also with blood clotting, which can cause other sorts of serious problems. So it's not something to scoff at. This is real. And if you can avoid that instead of dealing with it, why wouldn't you do that? And I came up with another quick analogy. I don't know if it resonates with anybody, but if we had a Mission Impossible film and the star Tom Cruise had the opportunity to get the vaccine and save the day and get the girl and go rock climbing afterwards and hang upside down, you think he'd take the vaccine or not take it? I'm pretty sure he'd take it, because a lot of this appears now to be about marketing, not so much about evidence. We seem to, a large segment of the country is not listening to evidence, because it's not the government telling us, it's the evidence that's leading us towards what we ought to be doing. But if you don't want to listen to evidence, let's get some smart marketing out there and explain to people, why it's important to do this for yourself, and your family. So, Tiffany.
Hi, everybody. I agree with all of that. And it was a great conversation yesterday, too. I just wanted to make a brief little update. We are still doing testing. Testing numbers have ramped up. We've opened up, effective tomorrow, we'll be open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. There's new guidelines in effect that go into effect on August 2nd for all state employees and healthcare workers who don't prove vaccination status. They'll have to get tested once or twice a week. So we're just making that available at the stadium, the municipal stadium, used to be Jethawks. So if you need a test or know somebody that needs a test, please go to the website and go ahead and sign up.
To add to that, there's now, the governor announced yesterday that you should get your vaccine. You have to prove that you're vaccinated, and if not, then you have to do testing at least once a week, once the FDA approves the vaccine. And it's supposed to be pretty soon. Many organizations have approved have mandated vaccinations for their staff already, even without the approval. So the VA announced it, New York City municipal workers and healthcare workers, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Duke, all these major organizations. The AMA is pushing all its physicians to get vaccines. They don't have to. 96% of physicians are vaccinated. It's coming. I think the reward, to get vaccinated is already out there, but it looks like people are now leaning towards mandating it because of the Delta and the uptick and the surge that's being predicted.
Any questions? I do. What is the vaccination rate with the nurses and the doctors at our hospital?
I'm not sure we were told we can't discuss the hospital numbers.
You discussed them with us before.
Well, we could talk about the national numbers on a national basis.
I'm concerned about these numbers.
Oh,
I could say that.
Wait a minute, why?
Yeah.
Well, I want to understand if they're looking at, I think that you should get vaccinated. So let me take that off the table. But a lot of people are looking at physicians and nurses at our hospital, and they're saying they're not vaccinated, they're not doing it. Why should I?
Yeah.
So I'm asking you those questions, that if the doctors and the nurses aren't doing it, how can we get other people to do it based upon the science?
Yeah.
So I think what Sean said earlier is good, that we need to get everybody educated on it. But if we can't educate the nurses and the doctors, then it's an uphill battle.
I think the answer is that the hospital staffs in general, and ours probably reflect the same, is that they're not as high as people would like them to be. So it's not 100%. The doctors are nearly 100%. So why is that? You know, just because somebody goes to school and studies biology and professional healthcare doesn't mean that they necessarily are, read all that literature or digest it or live by it, even if they do, because they're just human like everyone else. And so we're living through this as healthcare workers. I know people that have witnessed people suffer and die, and yet may still not be vaccinated themselves. They may have gotten the disease last year and figure they have natural immunity, and that'll carry them through. They have the same fears and concerns that all the other people that haven't gotten vaccinated yet have. And so I think the answer on one hand is education and continuing to work with people, which we're doing. And that's why we're going to be working together and continuing to educate people and giving them incentives and reasons to do it, dangers of not doing it. And also now with what the state's doing, I think this is going to accelerate the number of people that are going to decide to get vaccinated, because getting tested, if you've been tested, and I think most people here have, if you get tested twice a week with that thing up your nose, it's going to get annoying very quickly. And so I think people will probably decide getting a jab in the arm twice is probably a good idea, rather than getting tested twice a week.
Nationally, the healthcare workers percentage is about 65, close to 70%. For people who work in nursing homes, they're closer to 80%. These are staff workers. The split is that the closer you are to patient care, the higher likelihood that you are getting the vaccine. People who work in healthcare but are not patient-facing are less likely. So your IT staff, your non-clinical, non-patient-facing staff are less likely. But we don't have the local numbers.
I want to add one other factor, because it's a very good question. This virus that they're dealing with now, Delta, is considered almost a different virus than what we were dealing with last year, because its behavior is more aggressive. It's so much more contagious. As Jonathan says, you get sicker faster. You need to I'm not sure the 6-foot rule that they have signs up all over the place means anything anymore. I think that we have a pretty good idea. This is not just, droplet, it's aerosolized, and you don't need to get many particles in order to get infected. So someone could just walk by you and you could get it if you're not vaccinated. So this is, as they've said in DC, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated at this moment. And the vaccinated are having to adapt to the unvaccinated because there's variants going on and because the vaccine's not 100%. And that's why we have to wear the mask and get vaccinated. It's the umbrella and the raincoat. So.
Okay. So if 88% of the people over 65 have got vaccinated, because they're our most vulnerable.
Right.
Those are the people that were most likely to die. And now the Delta variant came out. It's more contagious, but not necessarily more deadly. If everyone's looking at this, I'm being devil's advocate here, so
Sure.
I'm trying to answer some questions.
Yeah.
So if they're looking at this, it's not as deadly for those people. It's almost the equivalent of a flu. The numbers that you showed us last time were the equivalent of a flu. So talk to us about that. I mean, my understanding is they're not dying in numbers like they used to. They might be hospitalized, but because we've vaccinated the most vulnerable side of the population, the side of the population that hasn't been educated enough to understand it, they need to understand they're putting the rest of us at risk by the mutation of the Delta virus. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you allow the virus to multiply in the unvaccinated population, then the next generation, because these viruses, every 2 weeks, there's a new mutation. The next generation may be worse than Delta. The one that's now very interesting is the Epsilon, the Lambda variant out of Peru. It's really, really potent, and Peru has the highest rate of death right now in the pandemic.
Say that again.
Peru, the country of Peru, the Lambda variant out of that country, it's very deleterious. It's very potent, and it looks like it's resistant to already one major vaccine that's used in South America. So every next generation may be worse. Maybe Delta is just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows? Further down the alphabet, there may be even more deleterious because these things just evolve so quickly. So by allowing the unvaccinated people to basically have the virus multiply, it evolves. We're allowing it to evolve.
What's the projections on this Peru variant?
The WHO is watching it. I think it's several cases have been picked up in the United States. I think it was picked up in Texas this last week. And we'll see
Do we have
Lambda.
patient zero for the Peru?
We have patient zero, with 2 cases, I think, in Texas with the Lambda virus sequenced.
Not enough information to do a projection?
Not yet, only 2. So it's right now the CDC classifies it as a variant of interest, but not a variant of concern. But if you saw
I'm sorry, they classify it as what?
a variant of interest, which is a lower tier. Variant of concern is when it's causing disease, increased hospitalization, increased illness. It hasn't reached that yet, but it's a worrisome development.
Yeah, I would say, more to answer your question, if you want to see what our future could look like, look at what's going on right now in Missouri and what's going on in Alabama and Arkansas, Florida, because those places, there's counties there where the vaccine rate is about 30%. Their hospitals are stuffed to the gills. They're figuring out how to send people home on oxygen. Same thing we were doing last winter. Okay, so it's overwhelmed their healthcare system. So while people may not die in high numbers because people are a little younger, people that are high risk, diabetics, people who are immune suppressed, people who are overweight are still at super high risk of not surviving. Okay, this is not something, this is not just, I don't think this is something that is just, oh, okay, spend a day in the hospital and go home. I think it has potential badness written on it. And then, of course, there's new variants out there that are even more dangerous that could emerge and take over from Delta. So I think that's what we're looking at.
I want to tell you guys something that happened, and Dr. Trong was part of this. I have a friend who's a lawyer. I've known her for 20 years. She calls me and tells me that her brother, who's a police officer, he's a sergeant in the LAPD, is on a vent, and they're telling her that he's not going to make it, but there's a treatment that some hospitals have. And so I called Dr. Trong, and Dr. Trong, you got him transferred. And we told her, you told me, and I told her, he's probably not going to make it to the hospital. He was that bad. We got him to a different hospital. They tried this stuff and he started improving. And then a month later, I get another call. And the only place that could do a lung transplant for him would be UCLA. And so we got him transferred to UCLA. Then I get a call a couple weeks later from her, and she's distraught, and they want to take him off the vent. And she's fighting them. And she said, would you talk to the doctors? And I said, I don't know why. I mean, I will, but what do I have to offer? Next thing I know, and like 30 minutes later, she's got 3 doctors on the phone in a conference call. She's very persuasive. And, so I'm asking all the questions, is there any possibility? And the reason they want to take him off is so that he can die with his family in the room. And if you left him on the vent, he couldn't do that. And so somehow I end up, I have to talk her into it. I didn't like that role. But this is very personal to me. I mean, this is not only 93%, these people on Facebook, they do this crazy stuff, saying, well, only this many people die. One person died. I mean, what are we descending into? And then I listen to these, I actually like to promote the debate on Facebook just so I can get other ideas because, I'm certainly open to the possibility that I'm wrong. I like to be wrong 30% of the time. That way I know I'm moving forward. Huh?
It's a goal.
Yeah. But right now I'm feeling, and I think you guys should join me in this feeling, is what we're doing is we're not taking responsibility for this. We're waiting for the governor to act. We're waiting for Barbara Fiera to act, who, really? I mean, I need you guys to tell me, and I need you to tell me exactly what we should be doing. When do those trigger points come into play? Right now, you have 30 beds filled with COVID. A week ago, it was 10, right? I mean, it's tripled. It's tripled. When is it we should act? I kind of like the governor's idea. If you're not vaccinated, you got to get tested. Maybe that's the way we should be doing it. But I don't think it should be me or the council deciding this. That's why we brought you together. You're the doctors and nurses, and this stuff. I need better guidance from you. And when you want us to pull the trigger, we will. When you want us, when the threat to the public health is such that we have to enforce this, we have the power to do it. I need to hear it from you. But it will be enforced citywide. That means the hospital too. And what I'm leaning towards is I kind of like that idea. You get tested twice a week or you're vaccinated if you're going to go to work, if you're going to work with other people. It's your choice. You don't want to get vaccinated, then get tested twice a week. Maybe that is the best way. But two of these guys are going into elections.
Yep.
This will be an issue. It will. I want you to tell us, I want the science. I want to know what will happen if we don't do it. But right now, I don't think we're just kicking the ball over to somebody else. And that is not the way we behave in this city. I mean, we've never done that. We've always pursued our own path.
Yeah, so I think the reason that it was powerful that the governor did this is because, you know, if any one individual business, hospital, or municipality did this, people just go to another area. They'd take another job, they'd move to another city. It's unlikely people are going to leave the state, although some will choose to. You know, nurses can travel, people can move, people do that sort of thing, but it's inconvenient. And so as a state to do it together, to say, okay, all healthcare workers are going to be doing this together. And maybe it'll end up being other public facing jobs initially, and then and all students. And eventually, as a culture, we're going to move in that direction. There's going to be people who don't like that. There's going to be people who say, I have a right to do what I want with my body, and it's my
Well, I
healthcare.
think they do. Wait a minute. I absolutely think they do.
Yeah.
But they don't have a right to infect other people.
Right. Right.
Someone told me that High Desert, they gave ultimatum on that if by September 7th, if they don't get their vaccinated, then they have to find another job. High Desert Hospital.
At the
Someone
county?
told me that.
At the county? High Desert Health Systems?
And High Desert over here.
Medical group. Medical.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Someone probably could be wrong.
If you look at the graph, it looks like August 15th is the curve is beginning to climb. It also takes 4 weeks to really get the antibodies to protect you. So if we're gonna do something substantial, now's the time, because it's end of July. That August 15th is gonna kick in.
Yeah.
We have to do it now, really.
Yeah.
And we're not being so different. San Francisco as a whole city has declared that in June. You know, New York has declared it. UC system, USC, all the academic programs have said, if you don't vaccinate, you can't go back to school or to work. So
I want you guys to prepare a report for me. I want it 2 pages, nothing more than that, because if we go much more than that, people won't read it. And I want a recommendation.
Sure.
And I want to know what's going to happen if we don't do it.
Right.
All right?
Sure.
The best projections you can. But what I don't want to do is be the ostrich here and just let somebody else make the decision. Every decision they made was wrong. I mean, you know, they closed all of our businesses and it turns out it wasn't being transmitted when you're outside. We closed churches because, I mean, it was crazy what we did. People are not going to wear masks. I was at a funeral the day the county ordinance came into play. I counted, the room was full. I counted 3 masks. I didn't have one either. I mean, if you've been vaccinated, why are we having to wear a mask? You know, because other people won't get vaccinated. I don't see the sense here. Anyway.
we'll put together a report.
And I want it soon, because you're right, it is going to take 4 weeks. And if 30 beds is going to turn into 90 beds, I need to know that.
Yeah.
And if you need to know, what is this doing to young people who get it? And is obesity enough to kill people with this? You know, I mean, people say they have comorbidities. I want to know more specifically what a comorbidity is, because we got a lot of overweight people in this city, you know, and if that's enough to tip it, I need to know that. You need to know that, right?
I need to know the statistics of the 30 beds that are being filled. How many of them are ICU? When do we have, my understanding is we have like 52 ICU beds. So how many of those COVID patients are ICU beds? Are they just regular hospital?
I think the answer is our clinical experience with Delta is in the early phase right now. And I think to draw any conclusions, the only way you can do it is to look at a place that is ahead of us in terms of exposure. Look at Israel, look at these southern states that have really having a hard time right now. That's probably, look at those numbers, that's probably a better indicator of where we may be heading rather than where we are right now, which is, you know, we're not in an ICU phase of this thing yet. But people have been on the edge, and people may, it's not a static picture. Someone comes in and they can deteriorate pretty quickly and move to the ICU. So
Isn't there a study out of Israel that's saying the Pfizer vaccine is only 33%?
that was
Yes.
one study.
against
That was
the
one study.
Delta?
Yeah.
It's
So-
one small
One.
study.
Yeah.
Most of the studies are still showing 87 to 90 percentile coverage for both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine. And as the Johnson & Johnson is less, but still at least 75 to 78% efficacy. So that's the case.
I do think I do think we need to do something sooner than later. Sorry, sooner than later, because we're almost in August, and by mid-August, it's supposed to maybe turn. For those who I think are still on the fence right now, if they went out tomorrow and got vaccinated, they're still not going to be fully immunized by mid-August. And so for those folks, I would say make appointments, start getting tested until you make up your mind and go one way or the other, so that we don't end up in that ICU crisis situation again.
And I would say for the first, you know, until we had the vaccines available, masks were a very effective way of preventing this. So just if you get the first, you know, I'd encourage anyone who's on the fence, go out and get vaccinated tomorrow, do it this week, wear your mask, get fully vaccinated, and keep protecting yourself. That's how you're going to get through this thing.
I also want to know just how lethal this thing out of Peru is.
Oh.
And what, I mean, when this starts killing kids, make no mistake, we're going to become draconian.
It's
I mean,
close.
I am not going to allow this, whatever it is, to result in our kids dying. I want to know the moment they become at risk. I mean, it sounds like it's getting worse, not better. Is that right?
It's getting worse in states that are not vaccinated. For example, Vermont is 80% vaccinated. They don't have an issue. Vermont's fine.
All right. Can we get a demographic breakdown on the people in the hospital as they come in?
I don't think we can. Yeah.
I think we should ask the hospital, because
Yeah.
I don't have the hospital data. I work there, but it's.
What I'm interested is the age.
Yeah.
I want to know the ages
I'll
of
find
people
out.
that are
I'll
being
ask.
hospitalized. All right. All right.
Rex, I'm actually interested in the demographic. If it's African Americans, Hispanics, I'm really interested in that, because if African Americans and Hispanics are the ones that are still not getting vaccinated at the most rate, I'm curious, are they the ones getting infected? I agree with Giovanni. This is a trust issue. I've said this to a couple of our council members before. This is a trust issue of the government. We've always talked about the Tuskegee experiment, and in actuality, there's a newer thing in the African American community that is running rampant that I totally forgot about when we first started doing that, and that's the increase in autism in African American males. And it's very rampant within our community that they feel is from immunizations. And for California to be one of the only states to force immunizations, that's another thing that runs rampant in the African American community, whether or not they should even repeal that law. I used to think it was just with Christians, but it's not. It's in the African American community, very rampant. I know this because I have two brothers that have young children, and they had that debate with me personally a couple of years ago about it, not feeling comfortable getting these immunization shots, because it's almost 7,000% rise in African American males getting autism, and they keep saying it's from immunizations. So it's a trust factor with the government. It really is a trust factor. And it reminds me, Rex, of what we talked about when you teased me about my daughter's boyfriend. If you want them to keep dating, keep yelling about it. And I feel like that's what's happening. The more the politicians yell about it, the more people are going to be stubborn. So we really need to rely on medical science and data. We have to show them that it's not us forcing an agenda. It's really science and data. I'll be honest. I remember when the Democrats, and I hate to sound like this, but I remember when the Democrats said, don't trust this. I remember when they said this when our president was in office. And then all of a sudden, when we switch presidents, now they're pushing for them to take it. So some of this is politicians' fault. It really is. I remember when we flip-flop. So we have to make sure that we show data and show real doctors percentage and show the demographics, who's dying, who's at risk. And if teenagers are getting it and surviving it, that's going to be something we're going to have to chalk up to people who are willing to take that risk. We just need to show true data and see what we can do from there. I'm just curious of how far is this going to take us? Are we going back to a shutdown? Are we going back to what we were 10 months ago? That's where are you guys thinking that it's going to get that bad again?
I don't think there's going to be a shutdown, but I do think, really religious use of masking, indoors, and really, pushing people to get vaccinated, letting them know the benefits of it, it's going to be more and more difficult to not get vaccinated if you want to live your life, and do the things you want to do and go to work, go to school, go to wherever you need to go. So I think those are the things that are going to be effective. I think spending more time outdoors is going to be safer than going to crowded places indoors. And I don't see shutting down businesses being an effective method of combating this.
You may want to put together a medical committee or take one of the committees that are already in existence, some peer review committee or whatever you guys have. And I'd like a recommendation from them too. But I'm seeing room here to act in that either vaccination or testing, regular testing. Yep. I think that's probably a fair approach. But once we pull the trigger, it'll be citywide, and we'll be talking to the people in Palmdale, see what they want to do. But I don't want this coming out of my head because I'm not qualified. I need the medical community to tell us what we need to do and why we need to do it, and then we'll act. Okay. So, but I don't want to wait 2 weeks. Let's proceed with some level of haste.
How long do you think it would take to produce that recommendation?
Today's Tuesday. We could get it done by Friday. Give us 72 hours to draft it.
Okay. Why don't we do an emergency meeting?
I don't know that we need to, but if we need to, we will do an emergency meeting.
But if we schedule that, we could always cancel it.
Well, that's a good idea. All right. Friday?
Friday.
Schedule an emergency meeting on Friday, and we're going to make a decision. All right. And it may be a decision that it doesn't kick in until this event occurs. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm tired of inaction.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of not having real, it shouldn't be us. We need to hear from you.
Sure.
Right. I mean, I'll take the heat. What the hell? I don't care. But but I want to make an intelligent decision that's going to save lives with the least disruption of people's independence. I mean, I really do think that if people don't want to take it, they shouldn't have to. They just can't expose other people, especially if it's going into our young population. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm really glad you guys are here. I mean, the only, sometimes I make really good decisions, and meeting with you guys was the best, wasn't it?
It was. You guys have done a great job, and it makes our job easier because you're giving us the facts.
Good. Thank you. All right. Do I got to vote on this now?
I'll move ED1 and ED2 and adopt resolution 2145.
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. Oh, wait a minute. Speakers. We got any speakers?
So we do need to have speakers.
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on ED1 or ED2, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to come in on ED1 or ED2. No speakers at this time.
Can you clear the board, please? That's astonishing to me. I mean, as much flack as I'm taking on Facebook and there's nobody commenting. Maybe I'm giving too much credence to Facebook. Okay, let's vote. It's unanimous. Okay, ED2, resolution confirming the continued existence.
That was part of the motion on the last item.
Okay.
Yep.
Consent calendar. Anything to be removed?
No, sir.
What about 5 and 6 for Daryl?
We do need to have Councilmember Doris recuse on items 5 and 6.
Okay, is there a motion to the remaining consent calendar?
Can we have speakers first?
Do you have any speaker cards on the consent calendar?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on the consent calendar, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time. Follow with the last 4 digits, 5771. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself, and you may begin. Caller with the last 4 digits, 5771. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening, dear members of the council, and dear Mayor Rex Paris and elected members of the council. Thank you for allowing me to give a brief introduction to our nonprofit organization. Its name is REACH, that has operation on both the East and West Coast of the United States. REACH being an acronym for Respond, Empower, Advance, Community, Hope, and Wholeness. Last year, when the pandemic kicked off, we all came together and agreed that we first need to help our communities. And we initiated and launched a program named REACH, Harvest Rescue, under REACH. The goal of this program is to participate and end the hunger and bring hope to isolated and vulnerable communities, such victims as domestic violence, homeless shelters, seniors, and low-income families and children. We focus on bringing fresh fruit and vegetables to encourage a healthy lifestyle, which improves overall quality of life through health. We have locally launched the program, and when we did, we noticed a shortage in the fresh produce supply chain available to all of our communities in need. REACH has partnered with a local and certified organic farm here in Lancaster, California, to initiate a food security forest for our communities in need. In addition, on planning an equestrian center for children and veterans who need it. REACH, with the farm project, will be initiating a modern initiative alternative to farming, where hydrogen and solar are the renewable power sources, which I love that you're doing in Lancaster. We also want to help aid the water shortage by adding the modern farming concept of conserving 95% of the regular farm water usage down to 3-5% on an all-year organic farm production. REACH would like to further the conversation with the city council and collaborate towards a viable visibility and funding support. We have an amazing city with innovation and leading our nation. I would like to expand on that with the availability of bringing renewable farm to secure fresh local food for our communities in our beautiful city. Thank you for your time and consideration on behalf of the people who need it, for the planet to heal it, and for the many souls to feel it. Thank you again, and God bless you for doing your daily work on behalf of the community and keeping it safe through these
Thank
challenges.
you. Okay.
Any
Any more?
No other speakers.
Okay.
Yes, hello?
For that caller, probably ought to call city staff and set up a meeting if there's some way we can help you. It's really not conducive to doing it at a meeting, but I'm certainly willing to talk to anybody who has a great idea. Okay. Thank you. So is there a motion on the consent calendar?
Are we pulling CC5 and CC6?
Yeah, pulling CC5 and CC6.
I'll move the consent calendar as currently comprised, pulling CC5 and CC6.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Wait a minute, you forgot your purse.
And Councilmember Doris is recusing because of the proximity of CC5 and CC6 to property owned.
Motion to approve CC5 and CC6.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. It's unanimous with Daryl Doris recusing himself. You can come back, Daryl.
Got lost.
That didn't dislocate your shoulder, did it? No, it did not. Okay, I'm just worried about you. I had your wallet. Good one.
Well done.
I'm speechless. Okay, let's move on to council reports.
Okay, I'll start with the ABA QMD. There's different problems that we're having at the ABA QMD because we have to meet an area that is polluted by South Coast and the San Joaquin Valley. So the parts per billion, we're considered severe, and we're being penalized for that severe pollution. So we alluded to, it's like a river. The people upstream are polluting it, and downstream we're getting the severe. And the EPA doesn't really care where the pollution comes from. It's just it's putting us on there. So we have to fix our air pollution, and it's gone from 85 to 75. And there's no way for us to fix it. There's no way for us to, because we have no large sources of pollution. Most of it comes from that. So what that does is it affects our ability to bring in industry into the valley, because they have to use the highest and best uses to mitigate any pollution that happens. So it becomes cost prohibitive to do business in the valley because of the pollution that's happening upstream. So we're sending letters to the congressman to ask him to look at it. We're sending letters to our elected officials, Wilk and Lackey and Barker, to tell them what, and we would appreciate it if a letter from the city of Lancaster also followed that, because we think some type of mitigation should happen for the upstream polluters such as South Coast and the San Joaquin Valley.
Yeah, of course. I don't think we need to vote on that. I don't think we can vote on it because it's not agendized.
Just making
But-
everyone aware of it.
Let's just make it happen.
AV Transit.
But wait a
Authority.
minute. You know, that is a significant issue, and I'm wondering if somebody had to have written a law review article on this. I don't want to spend a fortune researching it, but I do want to know the answer. Is there some legal action we could take to shift the burden back to where it belongs?
I'll take a quick look into it.
And if nobody has raised the issue, then perhaps maybe we should. If they have raised the issue and it favors our position, obviously we should proceed. But if you could get back to me on that,
Yes.
thank you. Okay.
So it is significant that we should look at. ABTA, we named different transportation centers after, at the college, we named it after Diane Knipple. The Lancaster Transportation Center was named after Senator Scott Wilk. The Palmdale Transportation Center was named after Tom Lackey, Assemblyman Tom Lackey, and the Lake Los Angeles one was named after Catherine Barger. We have different transportation centers. So every one of those people were instrumental in not only allowing us, but helping us with different grants and to get the electric buses. So it was very important that we show everybody the ability to do that. We also raised our percentage from 4 to 9% for our disadvantaged businesses. So the Equity Commission, they're not here, but they should be aware of that. We raised it from 4 to 9%, meaning 9% of disadvantaged businesses can apply at ABTA, and we're required to actually give them the jobs. So it's something that we did there. So it's everything's good. We're building a couple more buildings, expanding the work bays. We're buying more buses, and we're doing more technology for the buses and for we're preparing. We're going to have a system that the solar field directly plugs into batteries, and the batteries will charge the buses. So we need systems that we can monitor all this with. So we're preparing for all that. We're also preparing a booklet that other agencies can take a look at on the actual transformation from diesel to electric and what it takes and what you're going to come up against and how much money you need to do it and how much money you will save doing it. So we're preparing all those. That's.
Thank you.
I hate coming after Marvin because I feel like the JV team after the senior team plays.
I'm sorry, could you speak louder?
No, I'm being funny. I have a report, but my report seems so minor compared to Marvin's, but they want to give a little report of the boards I'm on. That's what
I understand they were going to name one of those transportation centers after you until you showed up with the purse. I mean,
you're just not going to leave that alone.
It wasn't
Marvin.
my decision. It was Marvin's.
City Attorney, this is a hostile working environment. I'm going to say it again. This is June and July because I wasn't able to make my report. But for the High Desert Corridor, basically the last 2 months, what we did just recently was pass the healthy budget. We also did letters of support for the different, for regional trail and regional transportation efforts that's going on. Lancaster doesn't have any with the High Desert Corridor at the moment, but Palmdale and different other regions do. So Arthur did a healthy, balanced budget that we all agreed upon. So it's pretty good. Getting the website going pretty, it's pretty excited about that website startup costs. For the SCAG, we went over and the Transportation Act, we had to pass and make sure that we're doing the Cleaner Act compliance for a lot of the things that we're doing in SCAG. So we had to go over some of those. I believe it's Amendment 2105 and Amendment 2021, the FTIP consistency amendment. So we went over those, made sure we was good with that. One of the things that I was a little concerned about, and I asked a question about it with SCAG, there's always federal grant money out there and we apply consistently. But then after a few months or so, all of those grants requests are thrown out. And then we have to all reapply again, and that costs money to keep doing that. So I'd ask the question, why don't they have a process that if put a time limit on the grants, that people that have applied, they don't have to keep respending money to get money, and they can be put in some type of file and some type of rank and file in order where people can just be moved up the line. They said they couldn't do it, but I just felt like there's a better system than cities paying $80,000, $90,000 to get these monies, and then they keep reapplying and wasting those monies. Some pay that much. They pay pretty much. And Larissa, am I correct in that?
You are correct. Some do. That is not the money that we spend.
Not we spend, but yeah.
Wait, explain this to me. $80,000, $90,000 to apply for a grant.
The time, the effort, what they're spending to get some of these high grants, whatever, it could be a waste.
Labor cost to do it, or explain this to me. This is craziness.
It is.
Yes.
The concern, forgive me, I can't see some of you. The concern is that cities do hire consultants to assist with the preparation of grants and write the grants, since they are quite complicated and cumbersome. We don't spend that amount of money. We have spent some money over the years in hiring consultants to assist with that effort, but other larger jurisdictions spend upwards of $80,000 to $90,000 on that process.
For one grant?
Correct.
To be denied and have to do the process over. So learning from Obi-Wan Kenobi, I've learned to, and that's Marvin Chris, I've learned to ask some of these financial questions. Why are we doing this? There's got to be a better way. And a lot of people agree with me on that, but somehow they're trying to figure out how.
Maybe the better way is internally. I mean, should we be looking at expanding the grant team and then measure? I mean, it seems like it's arithmetic, if we spend $10 and we got 100 that year, we know we got a good bet going here, right? Do we even track this?
We do a very good job of, specifically with capital grants, and being successful doing it ourselves with the teams we have. We can have an internal evaluation to see if we can do more, but you see the roads that are going on out there. We get millions and millions of dollars of transportation funds, greater than most other people with the staff we have.
Well, I just think we should track it. I mean, we should.
We could share with you the list of grants we have, but they're substantial.
We ought to bonus them. What the hell? I mean,
right, yeah.
And for what I was told, we are a favorite of. We do have. They feel that Lancaster's a pretty good, has an excellent grant writing team, and we do get awarded our fair share or more, from what I've heard. So they kind of was telling me that in the sense of, why are you complaining? But at the same time,
whatever we get, that's not our share. They're still got to give us more. I mean,
Right.
let's have a basic premise here.
More. I got it. So that's
We have to understand that, let's say for the High Desert Corridor, our share of that is $1.2 billion. They eliminated the 1.2 billion and put 200 million into the right of way of the High Desert Corridor for the Bright Line.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
That came into effect. And they eliminated $1 billion of our funding and put it back into Metro that we will not see again. So what we're focusing on through the different transportations, through the NCTC and everything, is to make sure that money is the priority for us at NCTC, at least for Lancaster, is the fixing of the 14 freeway. There's 5 choke points on there, and fixing it, it's going to be a little over $300 million. But before we do anything else, before we build new roads, new anything, we have to fix what we already have. And they've taken the money that we received, the allocation, which is 27% in the first place. And then they're taking it and reallocating that $1 billion from the high desert corridor, or we'll never see any of that money.
Towards the El Cajon Pass that they were.
Correct.
And from what I'm under the impression they had financed for Antelope Valley, lost it by making that move. And now they're trying to get financing again to do both, which is a couple of years out now because they don't even know if they can get financing again for it.
They're using our money to let Brightline know that if they want to come from Victorville to Palmdale, that we'll buy the right of way for them to do that. Right now, they're looking to go, the high-speed rail from Las Vegas is looking to go into Rancho Cucamonga.
That's a lot of money just to support the Raiders. I mean,
it's a big increase for the Raiders.
I mean, isn't that the truth? Isn't that what's happening?
It could be, Rex. It could be. But they feel Rancho Cucamonga is a better, more vibrant market than for whatever reason they thought didn't.
No,
Okay, but if they're gonna Rancho Cucamonga, don't we get the money back?
Obi-Wan?
No, because we've used it to, we're not gonna get the $1 billion back. Why are you expecting we're gonna get the 200,000 that came from the billion?
200 million.
Yeah.
You know, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, it adds up.
But, and then you have to understand how long it takes. 2011 is when we actually got the money to start doing the road work on Avenue J, fixing the freeway overpasses. We got that money in NCTC in 2011, and it's taken us this long to actually bring it forward.
So is there any fixing it?
We're a forgotten part of the county.
But that's
and-
always been true, but is there any way to fix this issue?
Yeah, we can shake the tree more, but shaking the tree and it doesn't fall our direction. That's the bottom line. We're not getting our fair share until we put our foot down and start telling the county and the Metro and everybody that we need our fair share of the allocations. Metro is a big bully, and Macy can tell you that we received $48 million from the CARES Act, and they came in and took 20 million of it, and they shut all of the LA Basin down and said, we're not giving anybody any money until AVTA gives that money back. So
You didn't give it back, did you? You wuss.
no, we received it fairly, and then we knew that they were going to come after it, so we downloaded it, and it became our money. And then that's when SCAG decided that they were going to side with Metro and to do that. So Daryl's on SCAG now. He's our voice for SCAG, and he's doing very well. So
Well, somebody explain to me why we gave $20 million back.
because they shut off all the money to all the UZIs, and there's 16 of them in the LA Basin. They shut it off, all the money, and made enemies of us with everybody. And they said, we're not doing anything until you give that money back.
What's the UCI?
It's a separate district. Our district is run and it's separate than Metro. So we can run it separate than Metro. Santa Clarita has one also. I think ours is 1,200 miles. Santa Clarita's is 200 miles. But the county pays Santa Clarita $3 million and they pay us $675,000. And ours is 1,200 miles, which is a huge difference in there's.
So what's the solution?
I can't say it with the new sheriff here. Well, the solution is continue to fight for it. We've been fighting for it and fighting for our fair share. When I originally went on to this, Lancaster wasn't even on the map. They showed a map and it stopped at Santa Clarita. It did not show Palmdale or Lancaster. And that's how they treat us, that they forget completely about us.
Even though we're one of the most busiest highways now in the nation, 14. Top 5, I believe they said.
So Macy, what do we do?
I can't, my voice, I can't project that far. As Vice Mayor Chris said, we just need to start fighting harder for our rights. This is a problem that's persisted for the 25 or 6 years the agency's been an agency. So we're trying to stem the tide and turn the direction around, but it's some systemic issues that we need to resolve. And the $20 million issue that the Vice Mayor is describing was something that we lost SCAG support on and we lost the FTA support on. They did a reversal on us too when they got the bullying from Metro, LA Metro. So we just need to be very, very, very guarded and calculated about how we proceed forward.
So how did Palmdale look at this?
Palmdale, let's go back to we made a motion to put the 190 million into fixing the AV freeway. They voted to give it to the Bright Line. And
Who said?
The Palmdale mayor and his designations at the time. It was, they're trying to fix it. They're trying to do everything, but they're using our money to try to get to Vegas from down in the LA basin. And I don't think it's working. We're losing a lot of our transportation money with that, and we're not getting our fair share.
Have we looked at the legal, if there's any legal issues, any legal solution?
We have, and we were facing not just legal issues, but political pressure that was enormous at the time that the decision was made to release the 20 million.
Say that again.
The pressure from losing the support of SCAG, losing the support of the FDA, and losing the support of the other cities that were being impacted by Metro's decision made the decision by ABTA one that we faced insurmountable opposition.
I made the decision to give the money back because they said they're going to shut down. This was during the pandemic. They're going to shut all the money off. Nobody had money for payroll at the time. They're not a healthy organization like we are at ABTA. We had surplus to pay ours with. We didn't need the money. It was rightfully ours. So they put the political pressure on us, and all the other operators voted for us to give the money back. SCAG voted with them. It's a problem.
I'm not following this. If it was our money, what are they gonna do? Call your names on Facebook? I mean,
Well, they can shut off other monies that come to us. They can shut off grant monies that we were awarded, but not because it has to go through SCAG and it has to go through Metro in order to get to us. So when we're awarded millions of dollars for our new bus fleet, and we had at the time $40 million in grant money that they had in their hands, they would not give us without, they just leveraged us to give it back.
If Palmdale had voted with us, would this be an issue?
I don't think it's a Palmdale Lancaster issue. So no, it goes the AV freeway. Wish they would have voted to fix it with us. But Palmdale's interest is the Bright Line, which is the high-speed rail to Victorville. That's their interest. They spent the 190 million for the right-of-way for that.
Who did?
The NCTC. They voted to do that.
All right. It's not something we're going to solve tonight.
Not tonight, but I think it's something that everyone needs to be aware of, that this is not the only thing that is happening. We need to take a very good look at everything that we're doing with the county, with the state, with Metro, and to make sure that we're getting our fair share. For every dollar that we send over the hill, we're getting 27 cents back.
You sure the captain's not on our side?
He wants AB freeway fixed too.
All right. Any other reports? So some of you guys are going to this, is it League of Cities or what were you telling me today?
That we had Raj and Daryl scheduled for League of Cities.
Okay, I want you to take some staff people with you.
No, the entire, we have a group of people going. It's not just those two. We're going.
Okay,
as-
so you got a delegation,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I get to pick who comes with me?
No,
What?
You told me no?
no, because I want to be on the list. I know what you'll do.
Okay.
No, we've got we've got everybody covered who's anticipated going.
Now, sometimes they'll have name tags identifying the city. If they do, please don't take your purse.
I'm gonna have my person put my name as Rex.
All right, good. I'm glad we're starting to attend those things. I think there's a wealth of knowledge that we could be gathering. All right, good. So, city manager.
I will be very quick. Just want to announce Parks Department of, again, a list of successes. Our softball championships went on, BNC, 220 teams and 8,000 patrons at our softball field. So just another successful venture. And as we start opening things up, we obviously worry about closing things back down, but nonetheless, our team and city is actively engaged in building projects and putting on programs. So another shout out to the Parks team, and that's all I have.
Okay, so are we fully open now for outdoor events?
Yes, we are. Sorry, yes,
Okay.
we are.
So am I going to see the lights go on the softball fields and I'm going to see people playing,
They're
till-
out there playing. Yeah, they're out there playing right now. Well, I
Okay,
don't know about
great.
right now, but they are out there playing most nights of the weeks. And we have Monday Night Bites on Mondays with hundreds of people attending that. So lots of events going on.
Who's that? He's showing me a picture. Oh, that's Jason with a purse. I'm sorry it was very rude of him, but apparently you started a trend. Now,
Jason.
So when's our first big event on the boulevard?
Our Welcome Back Lancaster event is scheduled for August 13th.
Okay, and that's going to be like huge, right?
Yes, sir.
And are we celebrating the people that helped us through this? We are?
Yes, we will
We're
have.
going to make a big deal about it, right?
Communications is on that. Yes, we're making acknowledging our first responders and medical professionals and so forth. So
Okay.
we have live entertainment, food booths, entertainment.
I don't want to stop
kids'
there, though. I
activities.
want to, like the people who did the vaccination centers, they did that for free.
Yes, that's our plan. Is
We
to
need to make a
acknowledge
big
all
deal
of
out of
them.
them, right?
Yes.
Okay. We got a lot of people to be grateful to. And I want to make certain that we acknowledge them. All right?
We definitely will.
Okay. Good.
And then I'll have one short video about the MOU signing with Namie, Japan. So we'll turn the video over, and then you can probably share about what we did last Monday.
Okay. Or we got the ping pong thing up and running again? All right. Okay. Thanks. So in October, we're going to Japan. Get together the list of the staff that we're taking, any of the council that wants to go. It's going to be a big deal. You know, I was really impressed that Senator Padilla came out, and it was a great video he put into it, said great things about Lancaster. I think we owe him a debt of gratitude for that. You know, it's kind of hard for people to get their arms around this hydrogen deal, but there isn't any question that is going to be where the world turns if they're going to do something about climate extinction. One of the things that came out when we were having that meeting was that, or that dinner, wasn't that a great dinner? Yeah. Was that if we continue with the electric vehicles, we're talking, what was it? 30 gigs of more power we're going to need.
It was 2 or 3 times the current electrical demand.
Yeah, and it's not feasible. The only way to go is with hydrogen. And Lancaster is going to be at the forefront of that. We will be the center of that. Because all the patents, most of the patents for hydrogen fuel cells are owned by Japanese companies, and they're coming here. So the economic, what do I want to say? Impact is going to be huge, and the number of jobs are going to be huge, and it's all good. Of all the things we've done so far, I have the most hope for that as to lifting the valley up. And they've got great plans. It's really quite exciting. So let's put the group together. I want the people that are going to benefit the most from it, because I want them to bring that knowledge back. And you know, you've done an amazing job with the staff. I looked up and they were changed. They were different people, and they're all young and vibrant, and they're excited with their jobs, and you know that they scare me. The level of competence that you've surrounded yourself with is remarkable. You know, I don't know that they should be driving Porsches, but especially when they're the what's your title?
Director of Finance.
I know
how it sounds.
The director of finance has the Porsche. I mean, there's just something visually.
Who won the race? We haven't raced yet.
We have not raced it.
Are we going to race?
I'll leave that up to you, sir.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying, I'll leave it up.
Now, don't be scared.
Well, that's what I heard you calling him out.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I'm gonna leave
Don't
it
back
up.
down now.
Well, we got to figure out a way to do it legal. Can you close Willow Springs Road? Can you close Tehachapi Road for? Actually, I'd be stupid to race you. I'm too old.
I mean, I've never done it before.
Sheriff, you don't hear this, right? Captain, you don't hear, okay.
I suspect there's a legal way for us to do this. There's a racetrack right up the road. We could probably go to.
Thanks. Where are we at?
I believe we're on public comments, so it would be time for the city clerk's announcement.
City clerk.
This is the time to address the city council agency authority on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers for those who are joining telephonically or virtually and would like to comment on non-agendized items. Please press star 9 at this time. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the city council from taking action on items not listed on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the city manager. Thank you. Caller with the last 4 digits, 7232. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself. Caller with the last 4 digits, 7232. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor. This is Fran Saras. I had to leave because I wasn't feeling well. Plus the fact it's getting late for me to drive my little wheeler home. But the reason I wanted to say is I wanted to thank you again and commend you and the city council and all the members of our city staff for all that you and have done for us, and the doctors, what they have done for Lancaster, for the people. I don't think you get enough credit for what you do. And I personally thank you from the bottom of my heart, and God bless you all. And thank you again for listening to me.
Thanks, Fran. Okay, Cassandra? I'm sorry you had to wait through the whole meeting.
It's nice now that it's empty. Okay, hello, my name is Cassandra. I have been a resident of the Antelope Valley for the last 5 years. Bear with me, I'm a little bit nervous for public speaking. I am here tonight to address the issue of lack of resources for spay and neuter rescues, low-income residents. It was brought to my attention based off of the
Wait a minute,
video
Cassandra, we can't spay and neuter low-income residents.
for, well, for their animals, But thank you. It was brought to my attention based off the last video, or the last meeting, I saw a video of the interaction with you guys between the resident Asia about her feral cats. And with all due respect, I just kind of realized that maybe you guys are unaware of the lack of resources, because it was quoted that we have a nonprofit for spay and neuter, which we don't. Simi Valley has a nonprofit for spay and neuter that comes to the Palmdale parking lot twice a week. So we have the option to offer this to the residents. You guys have a service agreement with LA County Animal Care and Control, and you guys choose to opt out of that service. So if we can get that changed, the county center will be able to allow spay and neuter to the residents for $50, which essentially would cost the city nothing, because that's how much it costs the vet there to do a spay or neuter.
Okay, help me out. Where would this take place?
It would take place at the Lancaster Animal Care and Control Facility. They already have the vet on staff. We have kind of a shortage of vets right now across California, and I'm not sure if that is across the United States. So opening another facility is kind of out of the question. But Lancaster Animal Care and Control already has a vet. They already have a facility. They already have the resources, and they already have the public's eye. So people know to go there when they need help with their animals. So if they were to offer this 5 days a week, they could do anywhere from 5 to 10 animals. They wouldn't even have to do it 7 days a week. And that would open up a huge, need in the valley. You guys kind of were joking about the $800,000. You haven't been paying that because the shelters won't take feral cats anymore. They refuse them. They started refusing them of March of 2020 under the managed care intake plan that they put into the shelters.
I'm shutting off your buzzer, so. it
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
interrupt you.
Sorry. I didn't know I was gonna
'Cause I'm
only
still
have
having
3
trouble.
minutes, but the feral cats still exist. They didn't go away. The shelters just started refusing them. And it's not just Lancaster and Palmdale, it's all county shelters. That was an across the board thing as far as I know, but don't quote me on that. However, Lancaster and Palmdale have been turning away feral cats. They still exist in the community and they still need help. There's several rescue groups out here offering TNR services, but they do not have the funding, or they're just indie rescues, or it's just a mom and daughter out there trying to do the best that they can. So to be able to offer this to them would be helpful, as well as just in general, people of the city who want to have their cat or dog fixed, whether it's a feral
but
cat or their pet.
I'm having trouble putting it all together because I thought they were charging us $90 a night.
I don't know where you guys got those numbers from, but I have the service agreement and that's not accurate as far as I have seen, but it's not. It's $43 a day based off of a 5-day stay. So I don't know where the $800,000 came in. I don't know where the $90 came in, but like I already mentioned, that $80,000 was eliminated in March of 2020 because they just simply stopped taking them.
That doesn't mean they've stopped charging us.
Well, I mean,
I mean, this is the county. I mean, let's be honest.
that's not up for me to say. I've been part of the rescue community for 5 years. I have my own organization as well that helps, but we
So what
can
do you
only
want me
do
to do
so much.
specifically?
Your service
I mean, what do you want
agreement.
us to do?
Your service agreement runs from July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2024. As far as I have read and can understand, to my knowledge, you are allowed to make changes. Either party that entered the service agreement can make changes at any time that they see fit. So in section D, Roman numerals number 4, outreach and enforcement services, page 7 of 7. You guys chose to do the no participation in the spay and neuter trust fund, which is where you guys would take $5 from the licensing fees that you guys receive to donate back to the county. And then within those guidelines, I believe you would be able to add in to just allow the shelter to do this.
Whoever you have that could work with Cassandra to see if this makes sense.
I
Does it make
promise it makes
sense?
sense.
Huh?
I promise it makes sense.
Okay, okay. No, I don't, I didn't. What
I
I meant
know.
is make financial sense.
It also makes financial sense because I've been in the back of vet offices and asked a dozen of them, and I've already
No, I
checked
don't
with the
dis- I don't
county.
disagree with you, Cassandra.
No, I know, I'm just telling you. I
just
don't
want
know
some-
if I
wanna
mentioned
assign
that.
Somebody to work with you on this.
Okay,
Because if you just leave it with us, it ain't gonna happen.
right.
I mean, can you put somebody together with her? And if there's a way to accommodate, and we're talking about low-income families that need to get their pets neutered, right?
Correct. And there is an application process through the shelter that they already have in place. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Based on our last conversation with the citizen who came, we found extensive services available for spay and neuter to affordable or.
Okay, well, so just have
we can-
somebody sit
There's a
down.
couple of different ways we can identify solutions to the problem. It doesn't necessarily have to be with animal control, but we'll have somebody sit down and communicate what opportunities.
Do you happen to know what those services
I
were?
don't. We got a
Wait, but
list. Staff put it
Cassandra,
on it.
we're just gonna put somebody together with you and see if we can make this happen, right?
Yes.
And come to some sort of accommodation that satisfies your needs and satisfies the county and everybody else. all right?
Okay,
And especially if it's not gonna cost us any money, we like that.
right.
Okay,
Okay,
so you'll take care of that? Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Cassandra.
thank you.
Okay.
Rex,
does-
we do need to, my daughter freaked out 2 days ago. A kitten was in our pool and it did well. No, seriously. And it's from the same cat that keeps
Quit
having.
drowning the cats when your
I-
kids are home.
It freaked her out. And it's the same cat that keeps having litter. And somehow it makes its way to our backyard and we don't know where it's coming from.
No, I get it.
It's been 2 seasons. So it is starting to be a lot of kittens and cats around here.
Sure, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like we got people wanting to help solve the problem, and that's the way I like to do it. All right. Good. Thank you. Got anything else?
Was there a second comment card?
I think that's it. Fran had a card.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you.
So we're all done?
We have closed session.
Okay, that's right. The city council will now move to closed session to discuss closed session items 1 through 26,
As listed on the agenda.
as listed on the agenda. Are you really telling me we got 26 items to go through?
No, we have the opportunity to talk about 26 items.
Oh, don't you guys even think about it? Okay, good. Let's do that. We will be back.
Stay home. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. You know, I like being a ham. That's
We are now reconvened. City Attorney, your announcements.
In closed session, the council took up closed session items 7 and 10 and gave direction to staff and legal counsel, no reportable action.
Thank you. Anybody got anything else? Anything I can do for anybody? Anybody got any questions? We're good? Okay. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Carol, my day is done and I'm coming home and you promised me stroganoff from Broken Bit. So it's a big day. How'd I get my clock with that?